Hello, my name is Solon Chapman, and this is my Infections and Diseases Research Notes presentation, but the video edition. So, what three different types of infections did I cover? Well, I covered viral diseases, bacterial diseases, and sexually transmitted infections, or STIs for short. And there's a picture of a coronavirus virion, which is like an individual virus particle. So what are some examples of these three types of infections? Well, an example of viral disease is COVID-19. An example of bacterial disease is salmonellosis, which is basically salmonella, but salmonella is the bacteria, and salmonellosis is the actual disease itself. And an example of an STI is chlamydia, which is the one to picture, which can give you some painful urination, but usually doesn't have any symptoms. So what are these three types of infections? Viral diseases are diseases caused by pathogenic viruses, which means that they can attack you, invade a human's body, and attacking its susceptible cells. I hate that word. Bacterial diseases are diseases caused by pathogenic bacteria that could give you an infectious illness. And STIs are infections commonly spread by sexual activity. And there's a picture of, I forgot what it was, but it was some bacteria. So for our explanations of these. So the general symptoms of these illnesses are, for viral diseases, fatigue, headaches, diarrhea, vomiting, rashes, post-nasal drip, unexplained weight loss, coughing, lethargy, wheezing, and jaundice. For bacterial diseases, got high fever, frequent urination, sore throat, aching pain, nausea, stiff neck, confusion, wheezing, lethargy, and seizures. And for STIs, vaginal discharge, phallic discharge, burning of urination, small ulcers, fever, swollen lymph nodes, warts, pelvic/testicular pain, and painful sex. And then, as you can see, those are like some symptoms that are usually common among all kinds of illnesses. So, a way to contract these illnesses are, for viral diseases, you can breathe in airborne droplets, consuming food and water that's contaminated, touching surfaces of bodily fluids are contaminated, and indirect person-to-person transmission from like an animal or something. Bacterial diseases are scratches to the body, eating food that's infected, getting bitten by insects that have that disease to their name, inhaling airborne droplets, sharing needles for like drug use or tattoos, and touching feces. Then for STIs, is any sort of sensual action towards the act of sexual intercourse. There's like some of things that happen once you get those kind of things. Viral diseases, bacterial diseases, and STIs. So the way to pass these illnesses is like if they're contagious or not. Viral diseases, not all of them are contagious, but many of them are. Same thing for bacterial ones, many of them are contagious. STIs are all of them are basically contagious since you need direct or indirect person-to-person contact to pass on the infection to someone else. And there's like a good picture that shows how easy it is to give someone an infection if you don't know that they're sick and they have no symptoms, like asymptomatic. So to diagnose these illnesses, viral diseases, they use like direct detection, so the virulence is individual viruses in the patient's material. Bacterial diseases, they use bacterial culture tests for cell growth because they could like detect which ones are there in the patient's material. And STIs are STI tests to determine the cause of the sexual illness. There was just like some thing I found. Oops, wrong button. This picture I found for it. Testing for these illnesses, for viral diseases, they find the virions or the viral antigens are like those like Y-shaped things that they show sometimes. Nucleic acids, which is like the DNA and RNA, that sort of thing, in the patient's material. Bacterial diseases are find harmful bacteria living inside the patient's body with their material choice because you can like use like gram tests. I think that's what they're called for that sort of thing. I forget if it was for viral or bacteria, but I think they both use it. In STIs, you can find infection from a blood sample, a urine sample, mouth swab sample, genital swab sample, discharge swab sample. You can find like the virus or the bacteria in there. And there's an example of a blood test. So something that I learned from these illnesses are, for viral disease, Ebola is classified as a viral disease. I thought it was a bacterial one. Bacterial diseases, I didn't know that coma was possible as a complication for severe kind of bacterial diseases. I thought those were viral ones only. And for STIs, there are 8 popular STDs. I thought there were like 4 or 5 of them, but there's 8. I forget what their names. It's like gonorrhea, chlamydia, hepatitis B, herpes, that track one, Treek or something, and then there's like 3 more after that. But like I said, I can only remember about 4 or 5 at a time. But there's 8 of them. Oh yeah, and chlamydia. So I knew about these illnesses beforehand. Viral diseases. I did know that COVID-19 was a viral disease. It's caused by a severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 virus, also known as SARS-CoV-2. SARS-CoV-2 is the virus, COVID-19 is a disease, and the pandemic is a pandemic of COVID-19 and SARS-CoV-2. Bacterial diseases. I knew that E. coli was one, and it can cause serious food poisoning. And the full name is Escherichia coli. Yeah. And then STIs. Any active sexual intercourse can potentially give you an STI, which is why safe sex with male condoms or even female condoms is a thing in the first place. And there's a condom right there. That's unrolled. So growing from this unit, like how I grew from it, I grew from researching this thing by learning more about multiple kinds of diseases than I did beforehand, and also what the effects of these diseases. Yeah, there's a gift I found that shows growing plant and how to make Americans learn more about these illnesses. Showcase their effects on the human body, and then like give out ways to stay safe from these illnesses, like making more videos on the safeties of condoms and safe sex, because that's needed for sometimes, because people sometimes forget and think bad things happen to them because they're not expecting these things to happen. And as always, thanks for watching my presentations. I forgot to center that, but whatever. And we're